Hey guys, I'm back from vacation and I'm starting to make a whole bunch of new videos for you. Today's gonna be about something really special and relevant to right now because you're probably working on some sort of audition list, whether for college auditions or summer festival auditions. And those auditions are always full of hard licks. I mean, there's obviously all of the technical issues and the musicality and character, but one of the reasons that audition excerpts are so hard is because not only are you putting all that stuff in, but you have to overcome these super difficult hard licks in order to even have a chance at doing well at the audition. So today I'm bringing in Angela Zator Nelson, who's the percussionist and assistant timpanist in the Philadelphia Orchestra. So I hope Angie's explanation of how to prepare difficult mallet licks from scratch is helpful, at least makes it easier for you to be working on your audition list. And as always, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have some other ideas on how to work on difficult mallet licks, it's always helpful to put those in the comments below to help other people who are trying to figure it out. So without further ado, here's me and Angie playing some exotic birds on the xylophone. Angie Zator Nelson, so great to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. I'm so excited to talk to you because when I used to pick up new music, I would get a page of dense, terrible, hard-looking notes, and I would become fearful that I would never be able to perform it. And in fact, I would try to learn it and I would try to work on it every which way. I would run it about 1,000,000 times, and none of those things worked. Eventually, we all find a process, a strategy. I'm wondering if you've ever experienced that.
Oh, definitely. So maybe as an example, we can think of exotic birds. Obviously very densely printed on the page for anyone to perform, students and professionals alike.
And there's not only notes, there's accidentals and articulations and like 1,000 dynamic indications. And how are you supposed to get all that into your brain at once?
My practice is slowly dissecting and then slowly practicing from there. So we'll even take maybe the first 4 notes.
Okay.
So once I get that into my brain where they're lying on the keyboard and maybe my intervals between, so a fifth,
Like
diminished fourth, I'm going to memorize that and practice that rhythm slowly. And then as I'm practicing that, I'm also going to be thinking about what kind of strokes do I want to use instead of practicing from the beginning with the incorrect strokes. So instead of just thinking, muscling through, just playing the right notes. So this is exotic birds, so I'm thinking maybe a little more chirpy. So I'm thinking a little more off of the instrument, a little more of an upstroke. So these are all things you can start to think about in the beginning.
I think my first instinct would be to just think about the melody, and memorize the bum, 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 the sound of that. But you're saying you actually think of it in 2 more contexts. You think about the choreography of literally the distance between your hands and how it changes from one chord to the other, which you could do in any run or any kind of figure. And you're also thinking from the very beginning about the tone, about the impact. 2 questions. I know everybody who's watching this will have. Do you practice literally slow tempo at first?
For sure, probably as slow as, well, not slow as humanly possible, but slow enough so that, again, I'm mentally memorizing and physically memorizing. Practice those first 4 notes 100 times at a slow tempo. Maybe I'd practice the first line, the first system. With as many beats as possible on my metronomes.
Do you practice phrasing from the very beginning too?
Yes. Again, you can think of some phrasing along with some of the accents as well. I mean, there's an accent on the top B, but I'm kind of leading. I'm thinking of connecting the B to the F. I'm not just landing on one note. There's something about that where this is an entire phrase from the F sharp down to the F natural.
Yeah, and there's certainly phrasing there already. Somebody learning this from the beginning.
Right.
How do you decide on the phrasing before you know the notes?
At least for me, my sticking and my phrasing can change and evolve as I'm working on a piece. But I'm trying to pick something to help it be musical, again, from the start, because I want to reinforce that this is an actual piece of music and it's just not an exercise. Going after the exotic birds, I'm thinking of phrasing, trying to think of this is some sort of bird call, instead of just mechanical.
Yeah. If you were learning this from the very beginning, would you choose kind of like an arbitrary phrasing that was as close to what you thought should be?
Sure.
And then you give yourself leeway to change later on?
For sure. Because I'm not exactly sure if even what I've chosen for this is the correct bird call that Messiaen was thinking of. But for me, if I'm selling something and if somebody's buying it, that's what I'm going for. Like, this is the way this bird sounds in my mind. And that's my phrasing. So I think if you play something confidently, and even if it's not correctly, at least you're putting out a musical idea.
When I look at this page, my fearful moment is in the last line. The pickups into the last line. Not only like are you playing all this crazy notes with lots of jumps, but then you go all the way up to double forte and you have to immediately come back down to piano. How do you practice? How do you apply those steps that you just...
Sure.
And it's easy for me to say because I don't have sticks in my head.
I'd say very slow practice and getting the mechanics down first.
Yeah.
So picturing that my right hand is staying on the lower manual, my left hand is staying on the upper manual, so that's helping my memorization. And then picturing again my leaps between the C sharp and the D, the B flat and the A. That feels very similar for me from here to here. And then from there, mechanically going through how am I going to make that crescendo. So what sort of technique will I use after I've learned the notes? How will I produce that loud crescendo? Will I use more wrist? Will I use more arm? Will I be more strong in some sort of a downstroke? When I want to get a little bit louder, but I need to keep my sticks a little bit closer to the keyboard. So I'm thinking a little more intensity in my grip as I'm playing that crescendo. And those are all things, again, that you will learn as you're developing your practice system. And then it's loosening up, again, releasing that tension to loosen up for the C, the piano. Because if I'm going to go tight, tension to here, it's not going to work. It's difficult at a very slow tempo to know exactly what you're going to do, because generally when I'm playing slower, I'm also playing looser.
So do you start like at a specific tempo, 50% or 75% or something?
It's very slow, and whatever I feel like the most comfortable that I can get all the right notes and the correct phrasing. After I feel comfortable many times in a row, then I'll bump up the metronome, and from there then I start thinking a little bit more technique-wise, what I need to do to achieve the technique needed for these excerpts.
You're taking your entire musicianship and you're basically forcing yourself to just work on digestible chunks one at a time and working out choreography and grip and stroke and phrasing and character, everything that you want to end up in the piece. Is there a system to that?
It really it can depend on the phrase. If a section is similar in technique, then I'm going to stick with that section and make it small. If it's a longer section with similar technique, then I can attack a longer section.
That gives us a lot to chew on. You guys at home, it doesn't matter how complex the music is that you're looking at, you can still break it down into digestible chunks and apply your musicianship to each little group of notes one at a time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having
Thank you
me.
so much. Bye.